Today we are joined with Mark Saxon, the President, CEO, and Director of T2 Metals. Hello, Mark, and welcome back to our channel. Thanks for taking the time to join
Hey,
me today.
Marley. Hey, good to be back. Appreciate the opportunity.
Amazing. So we previously featured you on our Gemini Capital YouTube channel. I believe it was 3 or 4 months ago, and that's when we chatted a little bit more about T2 Metals as a company, a little bit of background on yourself, and you're able to give us a great overview on some of your flagship projects, the exploration strategy, just how you unlock value for shareholders, and a bit more of that. So I encourage our viewers to go back and watch that video first if you aren't familiar with T2 Metals, so you can have a little bit more background context and an overview of the company. But today I thought we could dive into some more specific stuff. So how does that sound to you?
Super. Happy to talk about anything and everything. So let's go.
Awesome. So the first thing that I kind of want to touch upon would be some news that you released just about a week or two ago, and that's when T2 announced the results of a 43101 mineral resource estimate for your Sheridan project. So could you tell us a little bit more about the results of this MRE and what it means for the project moving forward?
Hmm. Absolutely. So the Sheridan Project is looking backwards. It was our flagship project, and so we spent a lot of time and effort and a fair bit of money working on Sheridan. So it's in Manitoba, quite close to the town of Flin Flon, about 65 kilometers as the crow flies. It's an exceptional project because it is very infrastructure rich, and so it's a former mine. It produced around 8 million tons at 2.8% copper, closing in the 1950s. And so that means we've got an operating rail line that passes through. We've got power. We've got a small village. We've got all year roads. So really great place for us to operate, and was a great place for T2 to sort of come into Canada and start work. We've just completed our mineral resource statement, and so that was on four separate deposits, all of which are less than 8 kilometers away from the village of Sheridan, so the village where the processing and mining used to happen. So within a very short distance, we've got four separate deposits, all of which come to surface and all of which are open at depth. So the total mineral resource estimate across those deposits is around 30 million tons of ore at about 1.4% copper equivalent. So good grades, large tonnage, and the fact that it's in four deposits means that we've got lots and lots of extra places to explore between those deposits, down dip from those deposits, and we've got many exploration opportunities as we move forward, as well as the potential development opportunity.
Amazing. That all sounds incredible and very, very promising. And I know you touched upon it a little bit in your last answer, but I really want to get your perspective on why you believe the Sheridan project stands out in Canada amongst other copper development projects.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess when you look at Canada for copper, you've got sort of British Columbia into the Yukon, the porphyry deposits there, which are huge deposits and super important to Canada, but they tend to be lower grade and they tend to be billion-dollar at least projects to develop. And then in the prairies, you've got projects like Sheridan, which are VMS deposits, which are gold rich, zinc rich, high grade of copper, can support underground mining and long mine lives. And in fact, the Flin Flon mine that we're very close to operated for more than 100 years. We're now very close also to the Snow Lake gold copper mine of Hud Bay, which has been operating, I think, for 30 years and will operate for a long time. So these projects can support underground mining with their high grades, and so that's where a project like Sheridan fits in. I guess the uniqueness again of Sheridan is the existing access to infrastructure, which means our startup costs in a future mining operation would be very modest in a global context and a Canadian context. Flin Flon itself, it's on care and maintenance, but it has a copper concentrator and a copper smelter. So there's lots of infrastructure in the region. The Manitoba government's super supportive. The First Nations is very supportive of our work, the Kichiwapa Cree Nation. And so, it sort of ticks all the boxes when you think about a near-term start for a copper project.
Amazing. And kind of related to this project as well, I'm curious to know what are the next technical milestones that some investors should be watching in regards to this project.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, and I guess we're spoiled with this one because of again the infrastructure and multi deposits. We're sort of we're juggling between how we think about those, but we need to do some more metallurgical test work. There has been quite a bit done in the past, and obviously it has been an operating mine, and so it mined 8 million tons, and that produced a saleable copper and zinc concentrates. So we know that the ore does process. We know from mineralogy that it's very standard sulfide minerals. So we should have no surprises, but we've got to go through that work process again and update that. Some environmental work to think about where infrastructure for the project will sit and how we manage that project. And that will push us through into then a PEA and to do the financial model to understand what the project's really worth and what's the best way to operate. The project has never had a financial model to our knowledge before, certainly nothing that's been published. It was owned for a while by Hudbay, who had an intention to do a mining operation on two of the resources, and they did some metallurgical drilling and test work themselves. And it was also owned by a company called Halo Resources, who did a lot of drilling and was sort of moving the project forward before it got taken over by Halo. So by Hudbay, sorry. So we've got a big data set, and but we always need that little bit more before we move into a PEA.
Yeah, that's great. And it's great to see that you have a clear plan and structure to follow this project as well. Now, I kind of
Mm.
want to touch upon a different project of yours, which is the Shanghai project located in Yukon's Tombstone Gold Belt. So, this project is T2's most recent acquisition, and that was secured through an open agreement with Sean Ryan, who we briefly covered as well in our previous interview. And this project also has a Class 3 permit in place, which means exploration related activities like drilling, camp installations, and road work can take place immediately. So, can you tell us a little bit more about the exploration strategy and plans for a drill program at the Shanghai project? And can you walk us through maybe some expected timelines and just kind of what we can expect to see in
Mm.
terms of news?
Sure, absolutely. And in fact, we now have two projects in the Yukon. So we have the Shanghai project, and we've recently added another one called Aurora. And together, those two projects, both from Sean Ryan, who's on our advisory board and a great supporter, we've got two very high merit projects in an area that is super prospective. So our Shanghai project is right no next door to Banyan, which is an 8 million ounce gold project. And our Aurora project is very close to the ML project of Prospector Metals. And the two projects, Sean held them for about 2 decades without doing very much work on them. And so we've got high grade rock chip samples. We've got Shanghai has an old mine. Sean has completed extensive soil sampling. We've done LiDAR. We've done other geophysical work to sort of bring up the targets. We're now drill ready on both of those projects, and so the first half of our summer will be completing a little bit more sampling work, some rock work, and some mapping, and that pushes us through to drilling on both projects in the second half of the season.
Amazing. So it sounds like a lot of coming news in the summer months, and we're excited to see the results of that. To be a little bit more forward-looking and to kind of wrap up our interview in a nice way, I'd kind of love to know how you define success for T2 Metals in the next year, 3 to 5 years, just in
Mm.
the near future.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And yeah, personally, as a geologist and as an explorer, I've been involved with many major discoveries, and really, that tipping point of a major discovery when you can raise money for a number of years of work and you can see a 30,000 meter drill program in front of you, and so I can see that for both Aurora and Shanghai, we can easily see that developing over the next few years. They're in really attractive locations. Yukon is a really fast-moving place. It's attracting major companies who are supporting juniors in that region. We've got some of the world's largest gold companies are coming in and supporting juniors. And so, yeah, I think a small discovery that we make in this field season can turn into a major project very quickly in that region. So that would be success, and we'll obviously see it in our share price. And I guess the beauty at the moment, we've just completed a financing, and we've got the money to get an awful lot done this field season. We've got about $8 million in the bank, and that will carry us through the full season with confidence, and generate loads and loads of news flow.
Amazing. That's great to hear. And that brings us to the end of our time today. But I really want to just take a moment to thank you again for joining us on our channel. And I wish you and the rest of the T2 Metals team much success as you navigate this next chapter. And I look forward to hopefully sitting down with you in a couple months once drilling and drill programs have commenced. And hopefully we can share some more good news with our viewers. So thank you.
Sounds great. We'll chat soon. Thanks, Marley.
Thanks.